Hello, friends. Welcome to the Medicare radio program brought to you by Exact Medicare. I'm your host, Darlene Laramor. Most of my friends call me Dar. The purpose of this show is to connect with people we care about the most, and of course, that is you. What we're hoping to do is to share relevant news and information, things that can help you feel more confident in your healthcare decisions. I want to give a shout out, like we do every week, to the new members. Boy, I'll tell you, we're having so many new friends join, and I am so excited to see that. Some of the new members that we have joining just recently, we've got Mohammed, Torah Bain, Linda Powell, Timmy and Cheryl Jewell, Jamie Lehman, Rob Allen, Keith Miller, and so many more. We are so glad that you have joined us. And I hope that you are taking a look at our podcast on Facebook, on YouTube. There's so much interesting information that Jeremy is putting out there. One of my favorite features is his episodes on television trivia. And boy, we have gotten a lot of folks that are chiming in with that too. One of the television shows that he chronicled was the one that had adventures on the SS Minnow crew. It was, as soon as I heard SS Minnow, of course I knew that was Gilligan's Island. And a lot of folks did too. I just loved that show. And who would think about that if it wasn't for something fun like the television trivia? So I'm so glad that's going on. And thank you for joining and clicking on that link and giving your guesses. Keep an eye out. There's going to be a whole lot more stuff like that going on for you. I am so encouraged on your participation. Another great feature that he has put up is small wins for the week. And I love reading that. One of the ones that hit me the hardest was Vanita Wilson shared that she had her lung cancer test and it came back negative. Vanita, that is a big win. I'm sure that cancer has touched all of our lives. Cancer has taken 4 of my siblings to date. As a matter of fact, my twin sister's been gone. Her anniversary was on Saturday. She's been gone 6 years, 3 days. 7 hours and 28 minutes. It is hard. Cancer hits every one of us. So that negative test, Vanita, is a big win. And I'm so happy for you. And I'm praying for your health and continued wellness. Thank you for sharing. Just know that the whole group is behind you and praying for you and really chiming in on this success that you have had. And another one of the questions was, what's that one thing that you're grateful for? We got a lot of responses on that one. I wasn't surprised to see that a lot of folks said, having God in my life, health, my family, all of these things. And you know what strikes me? As many miles apart as we are, and how different our lives are, all of us have had different journeys, different experiences. But when you really pare it down, aren't we all very much alike? We do have love for the same things. Everybody loves their family. And it's so good to hear you share. Thank you so much for taking the time to jot that down. I love the community that we're building, that all of us can get together and talk about things. There hasn't really been a venue for us to really get together and have a group. So I'm so happy and excited to see that folks in the senior community have a place now where they can be heard and they want to be heard. So thank you. Thank you for joining. The other thing that has been going on and has affected all of us across the nation has been the crazy weather. I want you to know, those that have experienced the tornadoes and the flooding, it's been all over the news. Just know that I'm praying for you. I know a lot of other folks are too. I can't even imagine the struggles and the challenges that you're having to face right now. The weather comes along. Sometimes it's good, but when it's bad, boy, it's really bad. Just to hang in there And I just pray that there's some relief. Boy, we've had a lot of tornadoes here in Ohio. I heard that we broke the record for the number of tornadoes at this time of year already. And here we are, just starting into May. We're not really even into the throes of the tornado season. So I think that there's a lot more headed our way. We are in one big group in that regard too, because boy, we've certainly experienced it. This world has a whole lot of interesting things to send our way. Weather's one of them. But there are some wonderful things that we've experienced too. Here just last month, we had the total solar eclipse. Here in Ohio, I got to experience that with my family. My father-in-law had his 92nd birthday on the day of the total eclipse. So it was a real celebration for us. And just a short month later, we got another surprise. Here in Ohio, there was Northern Lights. What? I couldn't believe that we were going to see the Northern Lights in Ohio. But we did. I set my alarm. I got up for it. Beautiful rainbow-colored sky. All kinds of pictures on the internet and on Facebook. It's just been amazing, the things that can happen. And that is just how life goes, isn't it? We take the good with the bad. And unfortunately, the bad has been some of this weather. And the good certainly is these unexpected blessings like the total solar eclipse and the Northern Lights, and even the days that we wake up and we hear nothing but the birds chirping out the window. That's a beautiful thing too. I was real happy to see lilac bushes. Here in Ohio, we get lilac bushes that bloom about this time of year. Boy, I wish the lilacs bloomed a little bit longer, don't you? But since they don't, I feel like I am happier to see them than I would be if they were there all year long. Because things that we have for long periods of time, we get used to it. We don't really appreciate it like maybe we should. So maybe that's why the Lord gives us a little thing like lilac bushes that only bloom for a short period of time, just reminding us to be thankful. When the small blessings happen, we need to smile. But lots of things do change. Weather, all kinds of things change. And that leads me into some other things that we've been talking about. I am blessed because I have the pleasure of speaking with our members on a daily basis. And I really love to hear the phone ring and get to talk to one of you. Most of the time you're calling with a question or a concern, and I'm happy to address that. One of our members called in and had a question about her prescription drug costs. And I'm sure you've all felt that way too. She said, I don't understand. I have the same prescriptions. I haven't had any changes. And sometimes I just pay a small deductible when I go to pick them up, or no deductible at all. Other times, toward the end of the year, I have to pay a lot of money, and I have to really plan ahead to pay for that. And she just didn't understand why at some time of the year she has to pay such a significantly higher cost for some of those drugs. Let me just explain what's going on with the prescription drugs. I'm sure most of us are on prescription drugs. I know I have prescription drugs I take every single month just to maintain my health, as most of you probably do too. There is a good reason for that cost at the end of the year. It is called the coverage gap in insurance, also known as the donut hole. Now, I love donuts. I even like donut holes, but I'm not a big fan of the donut hole when our prescription drugs are involved. What that means is there's a temporary limit on what the drug plan is going to cover for those same drugs. Not everyone will ever enter the coverage gap, and that's a good thing. The coverage gap begins after your drug plans have spent $5,030 covering your drugs in the year 2024. So if you have all generic drugs, low-cost drugs, that's the reason why you're never hitting your coverage gap, because the premium is never going to be that high to pick up those drugs. You're never going to pay that much money. The insurance company won't have to pay that much money. This amount, this $5,030, it can change every year, and that's set by the federal government, of course. People with Medicare also can get extra help. That is, if they have low income or they have financial burdens, they can apply for extra help, and that limits the cost of the drugs and sometimes completely eliminates your coverage gap. So that's a beautiful thing, and that's a good thing to keep in mind. If you haven't already applied for extra help, it's quick and easy to do. And if you would like us to give you some direction on that, give us a call anytime. Our number is 740-720-5590. We're open from 9 to 5 Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. If we don't pick up the phone during those hours, it simply means we're talking to other members. We will get right back with you. So please do leave a message with your name and phone number. We would love to get back with you. And once you do reach that coverage gap, you will pay no more than 25% of the cost of your plan's covered brand name prescription drugs. You'll pay this discounted rate if you buy your prescriptions at a pharmacy or order them through a mail order. Sometimes mail order is a better way to go. You may have a little bit of premium relief on the prescription drugs that are mail order. And you're also welcome to check out different pharmacies, different retail locations like Publix or Kroger's or Walmart, for example. The same prescription drugs might cost less there. So give it a try. Shop around. See what's going to work best for you and your situation. Although you'll pay no more than 25% of the price of the brand name drugs during the coverage gap, almost full price of the drug will be counted as your out-of-pocket expense. We've talked about your coverages, the maximum out-of-pocket that everyone has. It's on your summary of benefits. It's one of the first things on the summary of benefits page. It'll tell you the most that you will ever spend in a 1-year period. The cost of those drugs actually counts towards your maximum out-of-pocket, and that can help you get out of that donut hole. That's why it only lasts a couple months for most people, and then you're back to the regular deductible on your drugs. So that's good. That helps with your out-of-pocket spending. And to help you a little bit further, I do have a breakdown for you on the cost of those prescription drugs during the donut hole. Of the total cost of the drug, the manufacturer actually pays 70% while you're in the donut hole. Your plan pays 5%. Together, the manufacturer and the plan covers 75%, and that's the 25% left over, and that is your 25% to pay. There's also a dispensing fee. No matter what pharmacy you go to, there is a dispensing fee. It's usually pretty small, but it does not go into the 75% at all, so that's included in your coverage that you'll be paying. It's usually $2 or $3. And when you're talking about all of this, let me give you an example to make it a little bit more clear. And I've got one written out here so that I can make sure that I don't leave anything out for you. Mrs. Kemp reaches the coverage gap in her Medicare drug plan. She goes to her pharmacy to fill a prescription for that covered brand name drug. The price for the drug is $60. There's a $2 dispensing fee, and that gets added to the cost, making the total price $62. Mrs. Anderson pays 25% of the total cost. That means her cost out of pocket is going to be $15.50. The amount that Mrs. Kemp pays, plus the manufacturer's discount payment of $42, counts as the out-of-pocket spending. So that's the amount that's going to be added to how much you have spent on your out-of-pocket annually. So that is good. So $57.50 counts as the out-of-pocket spending. That helps Mrs. Kemp get out of the coverage gap. And that remaining $4.50, which is the 5% for the drug cost, $3.75% of the dispensing fee paid by the drug plan, that all counts to the out-of-pocket spending. So I hope that makes it a little bit clearer. Now, if you're lucky enough to have some drugs that are generic drugs, it is a little bit different. It's handled a little bit different than the brand name drugs. For the generic drugs, only the amount you pay will count toward getting out of the coverage gap. Of course, those drugs, most of the time, are a lot less expensive than the brand name drugs. So, for example, Mr. Peterson reaches the coverage gap in his Medicare drug plan. He goes to the pharmacy to fill his prescriptions for a covered generic drug. The price of the drug is $20, and there's a $2 dispensing fee. That gets added to the cost. Mr. Peterson will pay 25% of the plan's cost for the drugs and the dispensing fee. That's $22 times 0.25, that equals $5.50. That's all he's going to have to pay for. And that's what's going to count as the out-of-pocket spending for him. So I hope that makes it a little bit easier. When we're talking about drugs, there are 5 tiers to drugs. Tier 1 is the preferred generic drugs. Usually there is a $0 deductible on those drugs, so that's good. And you can get 100-day supply on some of those, and that's really nice when you can order more than monthly. I like to get my prescriptions 90 days or however many they'll give me because I don't want to have to go to the pharmacy every month. I'd rather spread it out every 3 months. Tier 2 is a generic, and that's usually right around $14 that you have to spend for a generic drug. Tier 3 is the preferred brand that we were talking about earlier. That's usually about a $47 copay for you. Tier 4 is a non-preferred drug. Tier 3 is for the covered insulin drugs, and those are a $35 copay. Tier 4 is the non-preferred drugs. That's a $100 copay. Sometimes those get real pricey. Those are the ones that once you get to the donut hole, it really hurts a little bit more when you're having to pay your percentage of that. And then 5 is the specialty tier. Thankfully, most people don't take any tier 4s or tier 5s, but if you do, on the tier 5, you're going to have a 29% coinsurance on that. And of course, there are also sometimes you might have a drug that you're taking that isn't covered by the plan at all, and so you're taking care of the whole cost on your own. Prescription drugs can be a little bit of a challenge when you're trying to figure out your monthly budget, because I know you're not getting paid more every single month, but there are some months that it costs more just to maintain. That's a little bit about the prescription drugs. Hope that makes it a little bit clearer for you. So I just wanted to make sure that you have a good understanding of what's going on with your prescription drugs. Things change, and as your health changes, I hope that you're continuing to go to see your doctors on the regular appointed times. When we get to feeling good and we're healthy and we're past that one thing that was bothering us, whether it was recovering from gout. I've got a neighbor who suffers with gout terribly, but he does have some times when he's got some relief and he doesn't understand exactly why, but he's so happy. During those times, he's told me, oh, I had a doctor's visit, but it was just an annual physical. I canceled it because I don't need to go to the doctor. I don't have anything that's wrong with me right now. Well, that's the best time to go because they do need that baseline. So it's really important to see the dentist, see the doctor on the regular appointed times. The reason that insurance companies have the $0 copay on that is because they're trying their best to encourage you to maintain that good health that all of us want and we strive for. So please do make those annual physicals. Do go to the dentist. Get your teeth checked out. I'm struggling with my father-in-law right now. He does not want to go to the dentist, but thankfully, he will go, but boy, it takes some twisting his arm to get him there because she's just not a fan of going to the dentist. Of course, as I've told you about my father-in-law, he's a dairy farmer and retired dairy farmer. He didn't believe that you ever should go to the doctor unless you were sick. So until he moved in with us, he had not had a physical for over 10 years. And of course, that's the first thing that we did when he moved in with us. We said, we're going to get a total workup done. We want to make sure that we know where you're at so that we can keep you healthy, and we want you around for a long time. So we took him to the doctor, and as I told you before, he is one healthy guy. He does not have any problems at 92 years old. Took him to the optometrist, and his eyesight is 20/40. Yeah, he's just about perfect. So there might be something to do with being a dairy farmer, maybe working hard. He says it's because he kept to a normal schedule every single day, and I think there's probably something to be said for that. He also says he drank the milk before it was pasteurized. He would drink it. They would bring some into the house and put it in the refrigerator in a pitcher, and they would stir it. There was a really big spoon in the pitcher, and before you poured your glass of milk, you had to stir it up because it would separate a little bit and the cream would rise. In my mind, now that's whole milk. Ooh. I'm from Cleveland. It never occurred to me that milk came from cows. We moved when I was 13 years old. I had no idea there was such a thing as milk straight from the cow. But maybe there was something to be said for that. I don't buy him whole milk at the grocery store. We're on 2%, and he's okay with that for his cereal and things. But yeah, he says that's what kept him healthy and well. Whatever it is that you are doing that's keeping you healthy, I hope that you'll keep it up, because we do want you around for a long time. Isn't that the goal? Folks will say we'll have a party for a friend of mine here. It's been a couple months ago. And she said, oh, I'm 29 again. I don't ever mind saying how old I am. I don't mind that 1 year older, because doesn't it beat the alternative? You get older or you don't. So bring on the birthdays. I'm okay with getting older, but I want to be a responsible adult and get my physicals done, get my teeth checked, and do all the things that we need to do. So I hope that this has been a little bit beneficial for you here today. Hope you have a better understanding of your prescription drugs and how that works in your donut hole. It's unfortunate that the donut hole comes toward the end of the year, and that's when we're all saving up for the holidays. But at least now you have a little bit better understanding of how the donut hole works, and it is everybody unless you qualify for the extra help. So anyway, friends, it has been my pleasure to talk with you again today. I love the time that we can share together. I hope that you have a blessed day today and can find a reason to smile. Just look for the good in things. I hope you have a blessed day. Bye-bye.